The Genius Files, Mission Unstoppable, written by Dan Gutman. Hey, warrior friends, we are back again for the Genius Files, and we are ready to read Chapter 8, which is titled In or Out. As soon as they were safely away from the burning school, Bones pulled the twins out of sight and into the woods beyond the playground. He tugged at his big bushy beard, and it came off in his hands. He pulled off his mustache, and then he reached under his shirt and he tore away a thick piece of foam that had been wrapped around his stomach to make him look like he was an extremely fat man. Bones was actually skinny. "Guess I won't be needing this stuff anymore," he said, tossing it onto the ground. Underneath it all, Bones looked pretty much like a regular guy. It was an amazing transformation. "You mean to say you've been wearing a fat suit and pretending to be a mute the whole school year?" Pepsi asked him. "Why?" "Because I knew that this day would finally come," he said. "It's a long story." The fire department did its best to get the blaze under control, but it was hopeless. By the time the fire was completely extinguished, there wasn't much left to save. It didn't look like there was going to be school come September, not at West Marion Middle School anyway. The police were relieved to find that there was no bodies in the rubble. No students or teachers had been in the building when the fire started, or at least that's what they told the media news. The detectives had no idea that the McDonald twins had been trapped inside the whole time, or that Mrs. Higgins, the health teacher, was long gone. Coke and Pepsi McDonald had a lot of questions for Bones. The first one was pretty obvious. Why would our health teacher try to kill us? Bones was evasive. He told the twins he had been keeping an eye on Mrs. Higgins ever since they both got hired back in September. He suspected that she was up to something, but he didn't know what she was going to do or when she was going to do it. "Are you going to arrest her?" Pepsi asked. "Well, she's probably a paid assassin," replied Bones. "I want to find out who's doing the paying, and besides, I'm not a cop. I can't arrest anybody." "Well then, who are you?" Coke demanded. "I mean, what's going on? Why is this all of a sudden happening to us? We have the right to know. We didn't do anything wrong." "Yeah," agreed Pepsi. "That's the second time somebody has tried to kill us in 2 days. And it wasn't Mrs. Higgins the first time. The first time it was some dudes wearing black suits and bowler hats." "Come with me," Bones told the twins. "I'll tell you as much as I'm allowed." They walked around the corner to Bones' car. It was an old Ford with a nice variety of dents in the front and back fenders. The guy was either a lousy driver or... No, he was just a lousy driver. With some reluctance, Coke and Pepsi got into the back seat. Individually, neither one of them would have set foot inside the car, but together they felt safer. If Bones tried anything funny, at least they outnumbered him. Bones drove about a mile to a strip mall that the twins had been to many times before. Their favorite Chinese restaurant was there. He pulled the car around to the back, where there were some dumpsters and wooden pallets leaning up against the wall. Bones stopped at an unmarked garage and got out of the car. "What, is this your super secret spy headquarters?" Coke asked. "Well, you might say that," he replied. Pepsi took Coke's hand so that they couldn't be separated. Bones wasn't a complete stranger, but all the same, she felt uneasy being around him. For all she knew, maybe it was Bones who had actually tried to kill them. Maybe this was all an elaborate trap, and they were walking right into it. Coke had no such concerns. "Do you have any cool doors that slide open and go whoosh like in the spy movies?" Coke asked. Not exactly," Bones said. He reached down and he yanked at the old garage door until it opened with a wrenching squeak. "Yeah, you ought to oil that thing," Coke said, as he walked inside the garage and he looked around. Hurry, Bones urged Pepsi. Whoever's trying to kill you may have followed us. They may try to burn down this place, just like they burned down the school. All right, Pepsi demanded. But what's going on? We want some answers. Okay. Do the letters T, G, F mean anything to you? Bones said after Pepsi had stepped inside. He pulled down the garage door behind her. No clue. TGF? Coke exclaimed. Yeah, that was the last thing that Lady Maya said to us before we jumped off the cliff. That's right, Pepsi said. And then she got hit by a dart and she collapsed. TGF stands for the Genius Files, Bones began. It's a top secret government program. I work for TGF. Maya is one of us. Or was, I should say, before they got to her. And Mrs. Higgins used to be with TGF too. But now it appears she has a different agenda. She must be working for somebody else. Bones told the McDonald twins all about Dr. Herman Warsaw and what happened to him on 9/11, and how he had stepped outside for a cigarette when the plane crashed into the Pentagon, how he had come up with the idea for enlisting the smartest kids in the country to solve the world's problems. But somewhere along the way, the genius plan seemed to have gone off the tracks. And you two are part of TGF too, Bones explained. Now, ordinarily, Coke would have let out a snort and said, huh, you gotta be kidding me. In his almost 13 years, nothing particularly amazing had ever happened to him or his sister. They led a completely normal life with video games, pizza, TV, and all the normal things that kids in the suburbs are used to. The idea that they were actually part of a vast government program was inconceivable. But there had been 2 attempts on their lives now, and it was starting to sink into Coke's brain that he and his sister were in the middle of something big. Their days as normal kids were over. Why were we chosen for TGF? Peps asked. We're not that smart. Speak for yourself, Coke told her. You are extremely smart, Bones told her. But I'll tell you that when Dr. Warsaw started the program, he wanted to have a few children who could work as a team, and enlisting twins seemed to be the best way to accomplish that. He may have lowered his baseline score a few points in order to include the both of you. But why would Mrs. Higgins try to kill us? Pepsi asked. Well, that's what I'm trying to find out, Bones replied. Maybe she had a falling out with Dr. Warsaw, and she's trying to get back at him. Our parents are going to go ballistic when they find all this out, Pepsi said, shaking her head. No, they won't, Bones said, his voice lowering slightly. You can't ever tell them. Bones explained to the twins that it was Dr. Warsaw's belief, logically enough, that parents would never allow their children to be part of such a dangerous program. It was also Dr. Warsaw's belief that the Genius Files was so critical to the security of the United States that parents of the young geniuses must never be informed. The children had to be sworn to secrecy, with the implied threat that their loved ones, to their loved ones if word ever got out. And they were strictly forbidden to notify the police or any other authority figures about their TGF activities. Wait a minute, Pepsi said. We never agreed to be part of this Genius File thing. You can't force us. Well, you're already in it, Bones simply replied. It's all about the standardized test scores. Your names were in the computer. Didn't your parents get a letter saying something about being in a specially gifted and talented program? It went out months ago. They probably threw it away, Coke said. Our parents are kind of spacey. If a letter went out months ago, then why did you wait until now to contact us? Pepsi asked. Well, I wanted to wait until we had a mission for you, Bones told her. Now, of course, You have a temporary mission to stay alive. Let me get this straight, Coke said. It doesn't matter if we agree to be part of this Genius File thing or not. Either way, Mrs. Higgins and those bowler dudes are trying to kill us? Well, that's unfortunate, but true, Bones said. I'm sorry you were put into this position. It's out of my control, but I hope that you will agree to help us. Well, what do we have to do? Pepsi asked. I can't tell you right now for security reasons, Bones replied. Some things are better off not being known. You'll be contacted in due time. That's it? Coke said with some anger in his voice. That's all you're going to tell us? And you expect us to help you with this screwball program? This is bogus. What's in it for us? $1 million when you turn 21. $1 million? Pepsi said. Each, said Bones. Tax-free. No mention of excitement, not to mention excitement and travel. Travel? Coke said. Oh, great. So people will be trying to kill us all over the world? We'll never live to be 21. And protection, Bones said. I might mention that we've already saved your lives twice. That's only because you put us in the position that our lives were threatened, said Coke. You almost got us killed twice. I am sorry about that. Okay, so when do we get to meet this famous Dr. Warsaw? Pep asked. Probably never, Bones told her. I've only met him once myself, the day that he hired me. He's a brilliant man, but he's also a recluse. I hear he lives on a boat somewhere. Great, Coke muttered. Are there others out there? Pepsi asked. Other TGF kids like us? Oh, yes, Bones said. There's lots of others. Maybe you'll get to meet some of them. I don't want to meet them, said Pepsi. I just wanted things to go back to normal. Well, you can forget about that, Coke grumbled. Look, Bones told the twins. Sometimes people do things for money or fame or because their parents tell them to, and other times they do things to look cool or for some other superficial cosmetic reason. And sometimes people want to do something for the good of their country or for the good of the world. People have all kinds of motivations for doing what they do. Whatever you decide, I'll respect your decision. No hard feelings either way. If you decide not to help us, you'll never hear from me again. I'm not saying that Mrs. Higgins and those bowler dudes won't be after you. I'm sorry. The guys with the bowler hats who have been after you aren't going to stop. But I promise you won't hear from me again. Of course, if you're in trouble and you need help, you won't hear from me then either. Well, how long do we have to decide? Coke asked. 5 minutes,